If there's one thing Volkswagen Group knows how to do, that would be sharing technology and design solutions between its brands without harming each marque's individuality. Is that the case with the technology of tomorrow, or better say, today? Are electric vehicles that share the platform too similar, as some suggest? We'll find out by comparing some of the most prestigious electric models, Audi's flagship RS e-tron GT and Porsche's second most powerful version of the Taycan, called Turbo. These two models are some of the most prestigious electric cars you can buy today. Both come based on the J1 platform, an architecture that has been developed for electric cars on purpose, but unlike Volkswagen's other electric architecture, the MEB, it serves as the base for larger, more luxurious, and more prestigious models. It's the best and most advanced thing the world's second largest car maker has to offer at the moment, at least in the EV universe. Still, the two models are anything but a rebadging exercise. Each model comes with its own unique design approach, starting from the fact that there are completely different layouts on offer. For example, Audi's model comes exclusively as a four-door sedan, while the Porsche is available in three body styles, as well as a station wagon and a crossover. Moreover, Audi's offer is much simpler, with two versions available, both with two electric motors and all-wheel drive. The Taycan, on the other hand, comes in a much broader range of variants, which includes a more basic single-motor version, but also a way more prestigious Turbo S version with significantly more power than the most capable e-tron. That's why we decided to compare the RS e-tron GT, Audi's most prestigious model, with the Taycan Turbo, which is Porsche's second most expensive trim. The two models are similarly priced and similarly powerful, which makes them perfect comparison examples. So, without further ado, let's start the comparison. In some way, the exterior design clearly shows the connection between the two models, and the best confirmation comes with exterior dimensions. The models feature the same wheelbase, with 114.2 inches between the axles. The same is true with the overall length, which goes around 195.4 inches in the case of Porsche. Audi's model is about an inch longer, but on the other hand, the Taycan is 0.2 inches wider, while the e-tron GT is about an inch taller. All in all, exterior measurements are pretty close, but that's probably the only thing in common when it comes to the outside of the cars. The styling, on the other hand, brings two completely different approaches and two different philosophies. But once again, what's common for both models is that their styling relies a lot on tradition and takes a lot of inspiration from internal combustion predecessors. On one hand, we have the Taycan Turbo, which may feature a few futuristic details, such as the headlight design, but the overall silhouette is unmistakably a Porsche. The sleek profile and clean lines are still there, so it doesn't surprise that many see Taycan as a new-age Panamera. The RS e-tron GT also sticks to Audi's aesthetical fundamentals. Styling-wise, this brand probably did the best transition to electric cars of all legacy car makers. The well-known Audi lines are there, as well as the familiar design language, so it's not hard to mistake this one for some of the internal combustion counterparts at all. To us, that's a highly positive thing. The same thing is on the inside, where both models show their own personalities. The Porsche, on one hand, brings a design that perfectly suits the latest trends in electrification. Massive screens have replaced those countless buttons and knobs that we've been seeing in previous generation Porsches, and we're pretty sure that purists will miss that old layout. The bigger critique goes to the overall dashboard design, which looks a bit bland, even though we can't say there's any major drawback. The build quality is excellent, it's just that we would like to see something a little bit more inspiring. On the other hand, Audi enjoys a reputation for making excellent interiors that showcase a perfect balance between conservative and futuristic design solutions. The RS e-tron GT is exactly like that, with a layout that involves a similar screen configuration as in the Porsche, but with way more details that put emphasis on the model's high-tech nature. At the same time, the cabin looks conservative enough, and purists are definitely happy to see that this, let's call it digital futurism, doesn't have any negative impact on the cabin's overall functionality. Speaking of the functionality, the same platform and similar exterior dimensions lead to a pretty similar cabin layout, with pretty much the same seating configurations and amount of space. Both models accommodate 4 adults with ease, while even the cargo area is similarly sized, around 16 cubic feet behind the rear seats. Finally, the most interesting part of the video. As we already mentioned earlier, we decided to compare these two particular versions because of their similar power and performance. Both RS e-tron GT and Taycan Turbo come with 2 electric motors, though not with the same max output. Audi's model is good for about 640 horsepower and 612 pound-feet of torque, while the Taycan Turbo puts out around 680 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. Also, Porsche is about 34 pounds lighter, but that small gap doesn't make a difference, at least when it comes to 0 to 60 sprints. Both models need around 3 seconds to hit 60, while the difference starts to be noticeable only at higher speeds. The Taycan Turbo needs 12.6 seconds to hit 100 miles per hour, 0.6 seconds less than Audi, while the top speed is rated at 167 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour more than the RS e-tron GT's top speed. But the difference in performance isn't just in terms of straight-line acceleration. Porsche's model is faster on track, with a little bit higher slalom speed and shorter braking distance. The handling and the overall character of the two vehicles are also notably different. The Taycan Turbo feels like a typical Porsche, with nimble handling and precise steering. Although the suspension setup is essentially the same and includes air suspension with a double wishbone at the front and independent multi-link on the rear end, the e-tron GT feels a little bit more relaxed. We would say it's more of a grand tourer, while the Taycan Turbo is definitely more track-focused. We can talk about the different characteristics of the two vehicles all day long, but when it comes to the battery, it becomes obvious that the two models are based on the same platform. And the benefits of the J1 platform are numerous in this aspect, starting from the 800-volt battery architecture, which ensures a charging rate of up to 270 kilowatts in both cases. Of course, if you find a charging station that's as capable. In real terms, this means that both models can charge 80% of their battery in about 25 minutes, which is still a competitive rating, despite that Taycan was introduced nearly 5 years ago and the e-tron came 2 years after. Speaking of the battery, the capacity is the same for both models, 93 kilowatt hours. Even the max range is pretty much the same, with EPA estimates that go up to 249 miles for the e-tron and 246 miles for the Taycan. As we mentioned earlier in this video, these two particular models are not just similar in terms of performance, they're similar in pricing as well. On the US market, the Audi RS e-tron GT starts at around $148,600, while the Taycan Turbo starts at around $162,500. But buyers also have solid alternatives in both cases. In the case of the e-tron GT, there is also a notably cheaper base version with 522 horsepower and an MSRP of around $108,000. The four-ring manufacturer from Ingolstadt also offers a mid-range version called Prestige, which has the same power but comes with a little bit more standard equipment than the base e-tron GT. That model costs around $116,000. In the case of the Porsche Taycan, things are a little bit more complex. The first thing you want to know is that the base Taycan is notably cheaper than the base e-tron GT. It starts at around $92,500, but that's because unlike the e-tron GT, the Taycan doesn't come standard with 2 electric motors. Instead, this one has just one motor and features a notably lower max output, around 402 horsepower with the base battery, which is also smaller compared to the one in the Audi. With the bigger battery, the max output goes up to 469 horsepower, while the next model in the lineup is called 4S. That model features the same 522 horsepower setup as the base e-tron, but adds around $5,000 to the price. Then there's the GTS, priced at around $141,000 with a max output of 626 horsepower. The only model that sits above the Taycan Turbo is the Turbo S, equipped with the most powerful pair of electric motors and a total output of 750 horsepower. That version needs just 2.4 seconds to hit 60, but costs nearly $200,000. What do you think of this comparison? Which one's better to you, the RS e-tron GT or the Taycan Turbo? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.